Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Inside Guns with your host, me, the Yankee Marshal. Today, I want to talk about something I've been getting a lot of questions about. In fact, I got several questions about it in my live chat last night, and I had to tell everybody, hey, that's going to be my topic for tomorrow, so you're going to have to wait. What we were talking about and what they were asking me about is the settlement that Remington has offered the families of the Sandyhook victims. 9 separate families. I believe the settlement totals a total of $33 million. Well, a lot of people don't know what to think about this. They're like, oh my God, why is Remington admitting guilt here? They're going to make it to where every time someone uses a gun wrong, the manufacturer gets sued. And that's kind of a misunderstanding of what's happening here for multiple different reasons. Now, I don't want to defend Remington here at all. I mean, some of the guns they put out lately just makes it hard to defend them. Let's just say that. But I do defend them on principle that they shouldn't be held accountable for what happens with one of their items that they produce when someone uses it improperly. But that's not what they're actually being sued about. Even if they were admitting guilt here, which I'm not sure they are, and we'll talk about that here in a minute too. But even if they were admitting guilt here, I don't think they're admitting guilt to someone misusing their product because that's not what the lawsuit's about. They are not saying that they are responsible because someone misused their firearm. They're being sued for something totally different. First off, before we get any further here, I want to read a statement about the actual lawsuit to see if it gives you kind of an understanding of what this is about and how it is not a liability case based on misuse of the product. Lawyers for the plaintiff, that would be the families of the Sandyhook victims, contend that the company, that would be Remington, marketed rifles by extolling the militaristic qualities of the rifle and reinforcing the image of a combat weapon in violation of a Connecticut law that prevents deceptive marketing practices. So what they're being sued for is really the way they marketed the gun. You know, a lot of people have said a lot of things, but if you really pay attention to what they're saying here, they've said, oh, they marketed it in a way that was irresponsible and it made people think they should use it in violent ways and they have them in video games and blah, blah, blah. But that's really not the crux of their argument if you actually pay attention. They're saying that this was deceptive advertising, deceptive marketing. So I'm wondering, how are they going to argue that in court? Are they going to say the AR-15 is not a combat weapon? Because it's not. I don't know it's not a common rifle in the military. Are they going to say, well, it's really not, a militaristic weapon, and therefore that was deceptive? I mean, I'm not really sure how they're going to go with that. I really kind of wanted to see this go to court and see what their point was going to be. Because if they are trying to say, well, because you showed it in video games where it's used against people and you made commercials where you showed it with people running around with it like they were in the military, that made people do bad things. Well, if they're going to say that, well, then wouldn't like all the car manufacturers that have cars in Grand Theft Auto be responsible every time someone runs over a hooker or someone else because they do that in that video? Wouldn't the car makers be responsible every time someone wrecks on a windy road? Because in the videos, they show people zipping around windy curves and, just flooring it. And they put that little disclaimer at the bottom, oh, professional driver on closed track. But most people can't read, I don't think, these days. At least not those little tiny print. I can't read the little tiny print. I have an 86-inch TV in my living room, and I can't read that little shit at the bottom. I'm got bad eyes, I'm old. But if they're going to do that, like I said, car manufacturers would be responsible by that same criteria. So I just can't understand where they're going with this. And like I say, when you read that statement, that they marketed it as a militaristic weapon designed for combat, and that violates Connecticut's law for deceptive marketing, is their whole argument that that's not what the gun was for? Because if they're going to argue that it was deceptive marketing and that kid thought that that's what the gun was supposed to be used for and therefore that's why he went and did what he did, I don't see how that's going to hold, because nowhere in their marketing did they ever say it's for going and slaughtering innocent people, especially not children. If they made it to look like it was militaristic and used for combat, well, then that would make me think, well, you got to join the military and actually go to combat to use it, not go use it against innocent people. So I'm not understanding their argument at all, but I just want to let everybody know that they're not being sued because of what he did with the firearm, because they're protected from that. And they should be. Like I said, Ford shouldn't be in trouble every time some asshole runs somebody over on purpose. Just because, they should have made their bumpers out of foam rubber so it wouldn't have hurt anybody. Are we going to get that crazy about shit? I hope not. But so they're not being sued for liability for the guy misusing it wrong. This is all a lawsuit about advertising. So even by admitting guilt, they wouldn't be admitting that they should be responsible for what he did. They would just be admitting, hey, we deceptively marketed the product, and we'll admit guilt to that, and we'll pay off these people that are suing us over that and give them this money. Although I just don't understand how, if it actually went to court, if it's about deceptive advertising, well, then what are their damages from the deceptive advertising? Their damages are from the liability, from the actions of that person. So this lawsuit, I don't think really had a whole lot of hope in court. But right now, Remington, you got to remember, has filed bankruptcy twice in a very short period of time. They're trying to restructure. And this settlement is going to be backed by their insurers, and it will have to go through the bankruptcy court. So I think people that are getting mad at Remington might be getting mad at the wrong people in general. You might be getting mad at them for the wrong thing because, like I said, they're not admitting that they should be responsible for someone misusing their product. They're admitting guilt in a lawsuit where they're being sued about advertising practices, if they're admitting guilt at all. And I would be willing to bet that it's not Remington's idea even, since they are in bankruptcy. And I'm sure executors and everything else that are in charge of certain aspects of their bankruptcy. I'd be willing to bet the insurance companies have a lot of sway right here. And I'm betting it's the insurance companies that are wanting to do this. Because you got to remember, insurance companies have tons of money. A lot of the nation's wealth sets in the bank accounts of insurance companies. It's just the way it is. So to them, $33 million is probably like, this is worth it to just not have to go through this. We don't want this type of publicity because once this trial starts, people are going to start saying, this insurer is the one, blah, blah, blah. And they probably don't want that negative mark on their record, or that perceived negative mark. So I'd be willing to bet this settlement, for one, is the brainchild of the insurance companies that are backing it, because you notice all the stories state that this money is being offered by these two major insurers. Remington is the defendant, but the offer is being made by through the defendant by the insurance companies. So I'd be willing to bet they're the ones that masterminded it, period, and Remington doesn't have much say in it, so I wouldn't be too hard on Remington. Like I said, insurance companies got a lot of money. This is nothing to them. But I do think this is one bad sign here, because the plaintiffs have definitely said their goal is to force insurers, banks, etc. to realize we don't want to do business with gun manufacturers because there's lots of liability there. Well, wouldn't there be just as much liability with cars and anything else like that? They're stating that this lawsuit is not for the intended purposes of the lawsuit. The stated purpose of the lawsuit is not their goal. I mean, they came out and said, we're not really suing them for what we say we're suing them for. We're really trying to bankrupt the industry and get it to where financial institutions won't work with the industry. And to me, that means that their lawsuit is disingenuous, and there are rules about that. Like, you can't go in and say, I'm suing this person for doing A, B, and C. If you actually know they didn't do A, B, and C, and you don't care if they did A, B, and C, you're just suing them because they dated your sister and did her dirty. And then you went out on the courthouse steps and said, I really don't know if they did this, or I don't care. I'm just putting him through hell for dating my sister and doing her dirty. That would get you in trouble as a lawyer. So I'm not understanding how they're able to say, we're suing you for deceptive advertising, but our goal is to ruin the company and ruin the industry and get bankers to not work with the industry and get insurance agencies to not work with the industry. This reeks of Bloomberg to me. And of course it is Bloomberg. Bloomberg is funding most of this stuff. So, I mean, I got nothing wrong. I got no problem with the families who lost children suing for damages, but Remington's not the one that should be sued. They should be suing the school system, things like that, before they sue Remington. And I don't even think they'd have much of a case against those people because it was very extenuating circumstances. But this whole thing of just suing Remington for false advertising, that's what they're basically suing them for. And it doesn't make sense to me. And it doesn't make sense to me that this lawsuit's made it as far as it's made it. It seems like there's a whole lot of backdoor dealings here. But I don't think Remington is to blame for it. So I would, and I've seen a lot of people getting mad at Remington. They're traitors, and they're turning on us, and we should boycott them. There's a lot of reasons to not buy Remington products lately, but this ain't one of them. Because like I said, they're not admitting to liability, that they're liable to whatever someone did with their product. They're just admitting guilt maybe to a false advertising charge case. And in that case even, I'm willing to bet it's not Remington's choice. Like I said, you got to remember, they're in bankruptcy right now. I bet it's the lawyers for the insurers doing this. And then I'm sure they have some wrangling things because they know it's going to have to go through the bankruptcy court. So they probably got some games they're going to play, even after the settlement. But like I said, I don't think it's Remington's fault. I don't think they're turning on anyone. I don't think they're, they should stand up for the principle, because I don't see any real principle here other than a company a group of disingenuous people filing what I consider a dishonest lawsuit to achieve secondary gains, not what they're actually seeking. So don't blame Remington. I just don't think it's their fault. And to be honest, I don't think they have much to do with this. All right, everybody, I want to move on now. And I want to answer a question that came in during my live chat, and I've gotten it via email. And it's about mask mandates. And I know you're going to say, what do mask mandates have to do with guns? Well, I actually think they have a lot to do with people like myself who carry all the time, especially when you're older and lazy like me and you open carry a lot. I just don't think wearing a mask while you're doing that's a very good idea, to be honest. So I do want to address the idea of mask mandates coming back because, like I said, I don't think they go very well with a carry gun. And to be honest, I just don't think it makes sense. I mean, I know a lot of people know that I was, my degree is in psychology. But they know that I have a lot of opinions about this stuff, the science stuff, the medical stuff. I live in a family. I have doctors in my family, nurses in my family, etc. So I'm always around this kind of thing. But what I've been seeing from the CDC and what I've been seeing from studies, it's showing that this right now, this huge increase we're seeing in like Florida and Arkansas, etc., it is not because of masks. It's just because of vaccination rates. This has become a disease of the unvaccinated. And now I know there is a risk when the disease spreads among unvaccinated people that it'll mutate to where it's now no longer effective or stopped by the vaccine. So there is that risk to other people. But mostly right now, the risk is to the unvaccinated. It could become a risk to the vaccinated people later. But right now, like I said, this is a disease of the unvaccinated. And if the goal is to get people vaccinated, the goal isn't to get people to wear masks. Masks are a moderate preventive measure that doesn't really hurt. It's inconvenient, but it doesn't hurt. But if your goal isn't to just have everybody wear masks forever, if your goal is to actually get people vaccinated, well, then you have to do a little carrot on the stick there to say, well, once you're vaccinated, you don't have to wear a mask anywhere. If your kids are vaccinated, they don't have to wear masks at school if they're of age to be vaccinated. If someone is vaccinated, if the kids go to school, very little risk to kids, young kids. And if the teachers are vaccinated, the chances they're going to get anything from the kids is very small, tiny. So I just don't understand it. Just get vaccinated and not wear a mask. And making everybody wear masks again, well, then what's the point of getting vaccinated? Now, I do support a business's right to say, if you want to come in my business, I want to see that you've been vaccinated. A lot of people say, that's a violation of my HIPAA rights. No, it's not. Your HIPAA rights means your doctor and your medical organization cannot share information without your permission with the government or private entities. It doesn't say you can't say, yes, I've been vaccinated. You have to do that when kids go to school. You have to show their vaccination records. You have to do that when you go overseas sometimes. That's just part of life. So if a bar says, I want to see that little white card to make sure you're vaccinated, even if you go in there unvaccinated, the people in there that are vaccinated, they're not really at risk from you, but they can carry the disease and transfer it to you. You can catch it from them. It's looking like the Delta variant can transfer from people that are vaccinated and asymptomatic to people that are not vaccinated. So the real person you're risking is you. And that's just not a smart thing to do. But here's the real thing. If you're not vaccinated and the bar says you have to be vaccinated to come in, don't lie. Don't be an asshole. You've got a right to not get vaccinated as far as I'm concerned. You don't have a right to be an asshole. So don't be an asshole and go in there. Just say, hey, you don't want me to come in there unvaccinated, then you don't want my business and I'll take it somewhere else. That's the way private industry works. So I believe every bit that private businesses have a right to require masks or to show you're vaccinated. I don't think the government should have much role in that part other than encouraging people to get the vaccine, giving people information, showing them the studies, things like that. I am vaccinated. I've had the Pfizer vaccine. My entire family is vaccinated. We just had someone spend 3 days at our house who had COVID while they were here. We just found out. One of my son's friends who comes from an anti-vax family. He caught COVID. He was sick. He left from here and went home and got to the hospital because he was sick the last day he was here. So he was spreading it all around our house. All of us have been tested now. We have quarantined and we're fine. We didn't catch it because we're vaccinated. So as far as the mask mandate goes, I don't think it should apply to people that are vaccinated at all. And I think it should only be the purview of private industry if they want to require masks in their buildings, not the government. And also, I think the goal of the government should not be to make people, uncomfortable and do something like wear masks when the masks are not even a certainty in stopping the virus and the Delta is getting out of hand. The goal of the government should be, they should be playing carrot, on the stick here. Like, come get your vaccines and you don't have to deal with any of this shit. You'll be fine. That's what they should be doing. Here's the vaccine. If you want it, take it. It's good for you. It's good for you, for your safety. If and I have not seen a single study that says otherwise, period. No matter what people want to say, well, I saw on Facebook that this clinic said that they had people get this and then they got shut down by the government. Because that's all bullshit. It's bullshit. So, like I said, I am not for the mask mandates. I'm for people who are vaccinated to have an incentive to be vaccinated. And I hope everyone takes the vaccine. Because I want people to be healthy and I want them to not spread it to other people. I don't want it to mutate. But here's the thing. Even if all of us in America get vaccinated, here's kind of like a downside of it. Everybody's not going to be vaccinated. Mexico, everybody's not going to be vaccinated. South America, everybody's not going to be vaccinated. Africa, everyone's not going to be vaccinated. Everything's still going to be spreading there and mutating. And eventually it's going to come here because people come here from those countries, the shithole countries, as some people get really irate when you call them. So we're going to have to count on the vaccine and hopefully be able to form other vaccines in the future for other variants. So we got to count on science here eventually anyway. But like I say, if you're vaccinated, no mask, because like I say, wearing a mask, especially while open carrying, not something I'm fond of doing. All right, everybody, I am really over time here tonight, but I do want to sign off by reminding everyone that we do have the fundraiser going on for Kira over on the TYMPpistolproject.com website. Go over, donate $5 or more. For every $5 you donate on a given day, you get entries into the drawing that night for 3 of the no FUD zone signs. These are heavy-duty aluminum signs courtesy of Aries Graphics. That's the only way you can get these is donate and get a chance in the raffle. Like I said, every $5 gets you 1 entry, so go over and enter. The raffle runs every day from 5 p.m. the previous day to 5 p.m. this day. So by the time you see this video, by the time it goes live, you got 1 hour to get into the drawing for tonight's live chat. If you donate after 5 p.m. Pacific time, you'll be in tomorrow's drawing. So come to the live chat tonight. See who wins if you donate today. Come tomorrow if you donate after 5 p.m. today or tomorrow. But I want to read the 3 recipients of last night's live chat, so I'm going to do that right now. The 3 recipients of the sign for last night were Lowell Dolnick, Glenn Kress, and Luis Fuss or Foos. I'm not sure how that's pronounced. But those are the three people that will be receiving one of the aluminum signs, either heavy duty quality, like really like government quality signs. You know, not like government work, but like you see out on the street corners. So go over, donate to a good cause to help Kira get the surgery she needs. She's already scheduled, and we're about halfway to our goal already. But we still need to get across that line. So please go over, donate if you can. If you can't, of course, don't. If you can't afford it. But if you can afford it, please go over and do so. And like I said, not only you be doing a good thing, you get a chance of winning a pretty nifty gift here because these signs are pretty cool. All right, everybody, that's our show for today. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you come back again tomorrow, even if you're mad at me about my vaccine stuff I just said. Hopefully, most of you are mature enough to deal with that. But like I always say at the end of the show here, I want to sign off by saying, as far as the state of the world today is concerned, you know, it is what it is. It could be a lot worse, but it could definitely be better. But in the future, if we start ignoring the fearmongers, the profiteers, the propagandists, the people who pretend to be activists, the people who pretend they're fighting for our rights when they're really just trying to pad their own pockets and defend the industry that actually pads those pockets, if we ignore those people and fight smart and hard for our rights in this country, what things will be for people who value the Second Amendment and freedom in general in the very near future is better. I am a grown-ass man.